Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. So just a quick video here to talk about a couple of films that are coming to Blu-ray for the first time worldwide. Quite exciting stuff, particularly for one of these films, which is a film that I really like. I've talked about it before. In fact, if anyone happens to remember when Tim Talks Talkies did his films of the 90s Top 25 challenge, I talked about this film, and it is Mountains of the Moon, directed by Bob Rafelson. Came out in 1990, and this one stars Patrick Bergin and Ian Glenn, and it's based on actual events. It's about the search for the source of the Nile, and this is a really spirited adventure film. So with Patrick Bergin playing the great explorer Richard Burton. No, not that one, the other one. And Ian Glenn here playing John Hanning Speke. So a really fascinating dynamic between the two of them. Richard Burton is an explorer who can speak many languages. He's familiar with the Kama Sutra and a very spirited adventurer. And John Hanning Speke was very much in his shadow, very much got enamored with him during the course of their exploits and their adventures. This was quite a perilous adventure through Africa, through lots of wilderness and difficult times that they had to go through, and then it escalated into an argument, if you like, back in England with the National Geographic Society about the rights and wrongs of what was discovered and who discovered it, and it led to a bit of a falling out between the two of them. I really enjoy this film. Like I say, I've talked about it a few times on my channel, and I think this will be great to see in Blu-ray. The cinematography on this is by Roger Deakins, and if anyone is familiar with his podcast, the Team Deakins podcast, he certainly mentioned this film several times fondly in his reminiscences of working on this film. Now, when this film comes to Blu-ray from Imprint Films, it looks as though there's not going to be too much in the way of extras on there. There is a documentary, I think, or an interview with Henry Jaglom about his working relationships with Bob Rafelson. I don't know too much about that. And there's also an interview with Bob Rafelson's son that's going to be on the Blu-ray. And then it will also include a small making-of featurette. Now, that making-of featurette, I very much imagine, is the same one that is on this Laserdisc. Just going to show you a few pictures here. There's Ian Glenn. So when I saw this movie, I was really quite captivated by this, because at that time Ian Glenn, he'd been on British TV in a series which you really don't hear about or see anything of anymore, that was called The Fear. So not the one that was with Gary Oldman. It was a London gangster drama that was on TV, but yeah, you really don't see any signs of that anymore. But that was a really good gangster drama. And there we have Patrick Bergin there as Richard Burton, and really I think this is his best role. I mean, he's certainly been in other films such as adaptation of Robin Hood and Sleeping with the Enemy with Julia Roberts. But yeah, Mountains of the Moon is just a really spirited adventure. Fiona Shaw is in this as well. Really good performance from her. But yeah, I think this one is definitely worthwhile seeing on Blu-ray when it does come out. Not sure if I will get it actually, because I mean, obviously I've watched this Laserdisc many times. But yeah, it will be nice to have a nice print of it, particularly for Roger Deakins' fantastic cinematography. So there we go. That's the one that I'm particularly pleased about. I think this one is coming out in February from Imprint Films. Now at this point, I just want to say I have no association with Imprint Films. Now I know some channels, bigger channels, you know, they get sent review copies, and I watch some of these sometimes, and there's, I guess, one channel in particular that I particularly I'm just not so keen on the fact that they get a review copy and all they seem to do is just tap the box, show you the spine and say thanks very much to Imprint for sending me this. Seems quite insulting to me. I think they ought to do a full-on review, but that's just me getting on my soapbox. Anyway, like I say, I have no association with Imprint Films, but I'm just excited for Mountains of the Moon. Definitely worthwhile checking out if you get to see it when it comes out. Now, another film which Imprint Films are releasing, and I'm not quite sure of the timescale. It may be coming out this month, but it's this one, Diamond Head, which is from 1962, and it's directed by Guy Green, who actually directed one of the really fun Hammer films, The Snorkel. But yeah, this is a very different film. So 1962, set in Hawaii, and it's got Charlton Heston here as a landowner, a very prominent landowner in Hawaii, who's also about to run for US Senator position. And so we're into this time period where, you know, Hawaii's part of the States, and there's this real sort of race class difference between white landowners and native Hawaiians. Charlton Heston's character, King Howland, he has a sister played by Yvette Mimieux, and she has formed a relationship with Darren McGavin, who's playing a Hawaiian local, and she wants to marry him, and this is very much something that Charlton Heston is against. He does not want an interracial marriage to happen, and but there's conflict and hypocrisy afoot here, because he's actually carrying on an affair himself with a local played by France Newen, and he's trying for this not to get out, but eventually it does. And then also on the scene we have George Chakiris, a famous actor from West Side Story, and he plays a doctor in this who also has a former relationship with Yvette Mimieux's character. So this is a really high melodrama kind of film. In fact, it's very much like a sort of soap opera, if you like. I can't say that it's a great movie, but Charlton Heston is really despicable in this, and gives a really good performance. And in fact, everyone is pretty good in this. Just as a brief side note as well, Charlton Heston and Yvette Mimieux were to reunite 10 years later in the film Skyjacked, which is a disaster movie that was directed by John Gilliman. And hey, I've talked about John Gilliman before on my channel and have shown his filmography, so if you haven't checked out my previous video on the films of John Gilliman, please do so. There you go. If you just look at the bottom there we have Charlton Heston and Yvette Mimieux. Okay, so that's Diamond Head, and there you go. Let's just see some photos there. There's Yvette Mimieux with Charlton Heston, Darren McGavin there. So yeah, this one is certainly out soon by Imprint Films if it's not out already. So yeah, this one also may be one of interest because it's a first time on Blu-ray. Okay, thanks very much for joining me for this quick video. I do hope to load some more videos shortly. It's been a bit of a challenging week. But yeah, thank you for your patience. If this is the first time you've watched, thank you very much. Please do check out my previous videos, lots of haul videos, different types of movies that you don't typically see in haul videos. And I've done various other videos which are spotlights on various directors, actors, and reviews of certain films as well. So please join me for some more. Hope to see you again. All the best to you. Bye-bye.